Hey guys, how's it going? Karai here, and welcome back to my Game Week 5 Premier League predictions. So unfortunately, I'm still suffering from some technical difficulties, which means there will again be a lack of videos. I'm also still adjusting to life at sick form, but upload schedule will go back to more of a sort of a 1 a week, 2 a week sort of video basis once things settle down a bit. But I don't want to waste any more of your time, so let's get straight into it. Now, 2 weeks ago, before the international break, I did the last one of these, and I didn't really do that well. I barely got any right. I can't really remember what they were now, but they weren't good. So let's go straight on into this week. So first up, we have Tottenham versus Liverpool, and I am going to go for a 2-2 draw. The last time these two sides met was at Anfield in the Premier League, and the last 15 minutes of that game was an absolute cracker, with Victor Wanyama equalising before Mohamed Salah thought that everyone thought he'd won it in the 91st minute. Before then, Harry Kane misses one penalty and then scores the next in the 94th for a 2-2 draw. I'm going to go for the same scoreline. Both teams have started the season relatively strongly, but I'm going to go for a draw. Next up, we've got Leicester City versus Bournemouth, or Bournemouth versus Leicester City, and I am going to go for a 1-1 draw between the two sides. I think if Bournemouth can score first, and if they can score early, they can win this game. However, Leicester could also win the game, especially if the likes of Gazal turn up. I think it'll be quite a close game, but I think it will be a draw. Next up, we've got Chelsea versus Cardiff, and Cardiff almost managed to pull off quite an incredible point against Arsenal until Alexandre Lacazette won it for Arsenal in the 82nd or 83rd minute, I think it was. But Cardiff looked pretty decent against Arsenal, but I don't think they'll have the same luck against Chelsea, especially considering that Chelsea are at home, and so I am going to go for a 2-0 Chelsea win. It could even be more than that. I just don't think Cardiff will challenge in this one. Next up is Huddersfield versus Crystal Palace, and I am going to go for a 2-1 Crystal Palace win. I hope that Max Meyer can put in a good performance because I've got him in my fantasy team. As well as Wilfried Zaha, although I'm not sure he'll be playing because he's a bit injured, which could be crucial for Palace. You know, Wilfried Zaha is one of their main player, their best player in that squad, and if he's injured, they won't have as much firepower, but I still think they'll have enough to get the job done against this Huddersfield team, who haven't really started the season well. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Crystal Palace win away from home. Fifth on my list is Manchester City versus Fulham, and I am going to go with a 3-0 Manchester City win. I think at home they'll just have too much for Fulham, who have started the season relatively well, I think, although not too well. So, yeah, 3-0 Manchester City win. I just think Fulham will have not enough in the tank to be able to overturn this rampant Manchester City side in attack. Their defenders will not be able to cope. Next up is Newcastle United versus Arsenal, and I am going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win. I think it will be a close game. That seems to be the consensus for a lot of Newcastle's games. They had it against Chelsea, they had it against City, they had it to some degree against Spurs. They've come close on a number of occasions so far to getting a point or a win. But I think this could be the same again. I think they might get a goal. I just think Arsenal might go 2-0 up, Newcastle might get one back, and then they'll put the pressure on but won't quite get there again. They just don't have the quality of player, or I don't think the mental strength at the moment to be able to get back into these games and properly challenge. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 Arsenal win, although I do think it could be close. Next up is Watford versus Manchester United, and Watford have had an incredible start to the season. I mean, last season they got the same number of points as Leicester did the season before they won the title, in the same amount of games, with the same goal difference. So everyone's freaking out. I don't think they'll win the title, but I think it'll be a 1-1 draw today. Not today. Well, whenever it is. I think it could be a 1-1 draw. I think Watford will defend quite well, and Manchester United, if the Manchester United that showed up against Burnley and the first half against Tottenham shows up, I think Manchester United can win the game. However, second half against Tottenham or Brighton, Manchester United turns up, I think that even Watford could win it, but I think I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think it'll be too high scoring, although as I said, if Manchester United can hit their stride, they could win the game, although I think it will be a draw. Next up is Wolves versus Burnley, and I am going to go with a 2-1 Wolves win. Burnley really have not started the season well. I predicted them to finish quite a bit higher up the table than what they're doing at the moment, that's for sure. But I can see them sort of getting a goal. I think the Wolves defence has looked a little bit shaky at times. Willy Volley has been really good for them, but I just don't know if they've got the quality yet. Burnley, again, haven't started the season very well, but I think they might get a goal, but I think Wolves will get 2, so I'm going to go for a 2-1 Wolverhampton Wanderers win at home. The penultimate game of this Premier League week is Everton versus West Ham. I'm going to go with a 2-0 Everton win. I think West Ham are in a shambles at the moment. I do think Manuel Pellegrini deserves more time. Of course he does. He's only been in the job a couple months. What do you expect? But I heard a rumour, actually, that his style of football is so complex that even the Manchester City players, when he was their manager, only just about managed to understand it. So who knows what the West Ham players can do. Jack Wilshere hasn't looked himself at all. He's just not looked very good, not justifying his wage. Felipe Anderson has looked the brightest of their players, but he's still not actually achieved that much on the pitch. Arnautovic, again, not really turning up, but their defence is terrible. Their formation is slightly off, I think, so I'm going to go for a 2-0 Everton win. And finally, I realise this has been a bit of a shorter video, guys. I'm going to go for Southampton versus Brighton and Hove Albion, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. Brighton could easily win this one. Southampton could easily win this one. Depends which side shows up the most, and yeah, I don't think it'll be too much of a contest. So there we have it, guys. There are my Premier League predictions for Game Week 5 of this Premier League season. Like I say, more videos to come in the future. Hopefully back up to 2 a week once I sort out my technical difficulties. But from now, guys, I've been Karaya, and I shall see you in the next video.